Zen Buddhism by the numbers, number 4. 4 noble truths. The 4th truth, the Eightfold Path. Momonkan Case 32. A non-Buddhist philosopher questions the Buddha. A non-Buddhist philosopher said to the Buddha, "I do not ask for words. I do not ask for non-words." The Buddha just sat there. The philosopher said admiringly, "The world-honored one with his great mercy has blown away the clouds of my illusion and enabled me to enter the way." And after making bows, he took his leave. Then Ananda asked the Buddha, "What did he realize to admire you so much?" The world-honored one replied, "A fine horse runs even at the shadow of the whip." Mumon's comment. Ananda was the Buddha's disciple, but his understanding was not equal to that of the non-Buddhist. I want to ask you, what difference is there between the Buddha's disciple and the non-Buddhist? Mumon's verse. On the edge of a sword, over the ridge of an iceberg, with no steps, no ladders, climbing the cliffs without hands. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What a beautiful day. But this being our human condition, we can't even enjoy a beautiful day without thinking, "Oh, it's climate change. It shouldn't be this warm." This is true. It probably does have an element of climate change, but still it's a beautiful day. So I'm continuing with this series of talks structured around various teachings in the Buddhist canon, in both Zen and otherwise, which I've structured and called Zen Buddhism by the numbers, and we're on the number 4 and have been for a while, because 4 is such a rich number in Buddhism, the 4 noble truths and the 4 great vows, the 4 Brahmaviharas. And because the 4 noble truths are so important, I've split them up into one talk per number. And we're up to number 4, the Eightfold Path. We don't talk very much about the Eightfold Path in Zen. Zen is not the sort of academic exercise that lends itself well to discussions of philosophy and structures and rules. But nevertheless, the Eightfold Path is the syntax in which Zen has its structure. It's the underlying structure of Zen, whether it's put into words or not put into words. Everything that we do here at the monastery and in our Zen practice is directed towards the realization of the Eightfold Path. the actualization of the Eightfold Path, the embodiment of the Eightfold Path. And along those lines, this koan, this case number 32 of the Mumonkan, doesn't seem on its surface to have anything directly to do with the Eightfold Path. Really, there's nothing mentioned about it in there. In fact, this non-Buddhist philosopher, when he questions the Buddha, specifically says, I don't ask for words. I don't want doctrines. I don't want theories. I don't want a lecture. This philosopher has had enough of this. All the words and words and words and words. It's like a philosopher going to Jean Paul Sartre and saying, I don't want being and I don't want nothingness. What do you got? I don't ask for words. I don't ask for non-words. I don't ask for displays of supernatural powers or magic acts. I'm not interested. What do you got? This non-Buddhist philosopher is obviously had a deep practice, regardless of whether he calls himself a Buddhist or non-Buddhist, regardless of whether he calls himself a philosopher or a bricklayer. This statement of his has so much behind it. You know, we learn through stories, the story of baby Buddha, the story of Buddha's enlightenment, in which he said, regardless of what happens, I am not getting up until I've gotten to the bottom of this. And he sat for 7 days and 7 nights. Wonderful stories, beautiful stories. The story of Passover and the story of Easter. Wonderful stories. But this philosopher has not come for stories. He wants nothing to do with them, not at this point. He has exhausted his words. He doesn't want more words. I don't want words. I don't want non-words. What's left? If it's not words, if it's not non-words, what's left? The inconceivable, the ungraspable. And this is the Eightfold Path. This is what the Eightfold Path is about, really. Is, yes, there are words, understanding, resolve, speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, meditation. And there are different translations of some of those words. But really, it's like a map drawn in the broadest brushstrokes imaginable. And the only thing on the map is the legend, you are here. There's no path. You are here. Inconceivable. What is this? What is this? Right here, right now. What is this? I don't ask for words. I don't ask for non-words. And the Buddha just sat there. And as in so many koans, so much is left unsaid. He just sat there. For how long? Maybe it was a minute. Maybe it was an hour. Maybe it was 7 days and 7 nights. We don't know. He just sat there. And the philosopher sat there with him. We don't know if he had his eyes open or his eyes closed. We don't know if he reached out and touched the Buddha. And so much we don't know, but we know that the Buddha sat there, demonstrating his zazen. The philosopher sat there, sharing his zazen, being with the Buddha, really being with the Buddha. No words, no non-words, just like we do in the Zendo. Just sitting there. And clouds of thought, emotion, feelings, sensations drift by, and we sit. And we have this map that says, you are here. You are here. And we sit and we sit. And somehow the clouds drift away, revealing what we knew all along. Here I am. Here it is. This is it. This is it. And the philosopher decoded this map, this you are here. And something happened. And he said to the Buddha, the world-honored one with his great mercy has blown away the clouds of my illusion and enabled me to enter the way. Has entered the way. Entering the way is what we're doing here. The way of non-words, the way of the inconceivable, the ungraspable, the Dharma without form. Entering the way is another way of saying leaving home, leaving behind all that you think you are and becoming what you actually are. It always begins with one step. And no matter how long we practice, no matter how many times we sit ourselves down on the cushion, it's always the first step. It's always new. It's always a process of discovery for which we need a map. The map of the Eightfold Path. Even if the only thing on the map is, you are here. This first step. So, the Buddhist philosopher bowed and took his leave. And Ananda asked the Buddha, what did he realize to admire you so much? Now, Ananda was perhaps Buddha's favorite disciple, a cousin of the Buddha, with a phenomenal memory. It's said that all of the sutras that came down to us from the Buddha were remembered verbatim by Ananda. Thus have I heard. But at this point, he had not exhausted his own words. He was not yet able to see the clouds of his illusions blown away. So he asks very sincerely, what did he realize to admire you so much? And the world-honored one replied, a fine horse runs even at the shadow of the whip. Even just seeing the Buddha, even just knowing the Buddha, if you've exhausted your words, if you've come to the end, the merest hint, a smile, a flower, a word, that's all it takes. A non-word, uman, going to a master begging to be admitted, being turned away 2 times, 3 times, and on the 3rd time, the master shutting the door so forcefully that his leg broke. And never a doubt again. And never a doubt again. Or sweeping and a pebble strikes a bamboo, a hollow bamboo, and the resonant tone of the pebble A fine horse runs at the shadow of the whip. Doesn't need a lecture. But what makes a horse fine? You're all fine. You're all fine. You're all candidates for Buddhahood. A shadow, a pebble, a map, something to ignite this fire of realization and awakening. When I was planning this talk, I didn't realize that it would be given on Rinzai Day. And it's customary on ancestor commemorative days to speak at least a bit about the ancestor. Rinzai, of course, is one of the great figures in our lineage, one of the seminal figures in our lineage, and the one who gives the name to the branch of Zen that we're engaged in. He was born over 1,200 years ago. No one's sure exactly when. Sometime it's estimated between 810 and 815 of the Common Era. His death day is more certain. He died in 866, so well over 1,100 years ago. And he studied with Obaku, or Wang Po in Chinese. But before going to Obaku, he had studied sutras and shastras, the commentaries on the sutras, and studied the Vinaya, which is the monastic order and the rules of monastic life. He was very well versed in Buddhist terminology, Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist thought. He had plenty of words. And he also had plenty of non-words. And he has an interesting take on the Eightfold Path. For people who don't remember exactly what the Eightfold Path is, I mentioned before, it's right understanding, which can be understood in a very narrow sense or a very broad sense. It can be understood as the Four Noble Truths. It can be understood as the rule of karma. It can be understood in things like the three marks of existence and the three poisons. Rinzai has his own take on understanding. What is right understanding? The master instructed the group saying, "Those who study the Dharma of the Buddhas should approach it with a true and proper understanding. If you approach it with a true and proper understanding, you won't be affected by considerations of birth or death. You'll be free to go or stay as you please. You don't have to strive for benefits. Benefits will come by themselves. Followers of the way, the outstanding teachers from times past, have all had ways of drawing people out. What I myself want to impress on you is that you mustn't be led astray by others. If you want to use this thing, then use it, and have no doubts or hesitations. When students today fail to make progress, where's the fault? The fault lies in the fact that they don't have faith in themselves. If you don't have faith in yourself, then you'll be forever in a hurry, trying to keep up with everything around you. You'll be twisted and turned by whatever environment you're in, and you can never move freely. But if you can just stop this mind that goes rushing around moment by moment looking for something, then you'll be no different from the patriarchs and Buddhas. Do you want to get to know the patriarchs and Buddhas? They're none other than you. The people standing in front of me listening to this lecture on the Dharma. Students don't have enough faith in themselves, and so they rush around looking for something outside themselves. But even if they get something, all it will be is words and phrases, pretty appearances. They'll never get at the living thought of the patriarchs. So Rinzai's true and proper understanding is just like that map that says you are here. You don't have to go anywhere else. You don't have to look at the Four Noble Truths. You don't have to look at the three marks of existence. You don't have to look at karma. You don't have to look at any of the stories that are told or any of the structures. You have to look at yourself. Look at your own heart. Look at your own mind. Explore your own body. What is your body teaching you right now? What is your heart teaching you right now? What is your mind teaching you right now? And I say your, but even you, your, it's too many words. Just, what is this? This right now, what is this? No words. No non-words. Just, what is this? Everything that you need to know is right there. You don't have to move. In fact, moving is just a way of avoiding it. When you're having pain, what is this pain teaching you? Perhaps it teaches you to soften. Perhaps it teaches you compassion. Perhaps it teaches you mercy. Perhaps it teaches you that if you don't separate yourself from it, it changes. It becomes something entirely different. It's nice to be comfortable in Zazen. Comfort is a wonderful thing. But pain is such a wonderful teacher. So much of what you can possibly learn about being in this world for others, about kindness, about compassion, will come to you simply looking into your own pain, exploring it, not turning away from it. This is understanding. No theory. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in your experience. You think because you're having pain you're doing bad Zazen? Nonsense. You think because you're experiencing fatigue, tiredness, misery, that's bad Zazen? Nonsense. It's wonderful Zazen. Have faith. Not in something outside. Not in pretty words, pictures, stories. Have faith in this moment, whatever it is. Bliss. Sleepiness. Brightness. Shining light. Deepest darkness. Don't push it away. Whatever it is. Don't push it away thinking there's something else. Something better. If I just concentrate harder, it'll get better. It will get better if you don't push it away. It'll get better if you use what you are given, every gift that you're given, including the gifts that we don't really want. So that's understanding. That's right understanding. Yeah, it's nice to have a theoretical framework and to understand the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path and the marks of existence. These are wonderful concepts and helpful to think about your life. But real understanding is you are here. What's going on right now? What is this? Right resolve. Resolve is one of those that sometimes is translated differently. It's sometimes translated as view or thought or intention. But resolve means exactly what the Buddha said to himself when he sat down under the Bodhi tree. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I'm tired of being pushed around. I'm tired of running around. I'm tired of searching someplace. Right here, right now, this is it. This is right resolve. Right here, right now. Friends, I had a few words about resolve. You listening to the Dharma, if you are people of the way who depend on nothing, then you are the mother of the Buddhas. Therefore, the Buddhas are born from the realm that leans on nothing. If you can waken to this leaning on nothing, then there will be no Buddha to get hold of. If you can see things in this way, this is a true and proper understanding. But students don't push through to the end because they seize on words and phrases and let words like common mortal or sage obstruct them. This blinds their eyes to the way, and they cannot perceive it clearly. Things like the 12 divisions of the scriptures all speak of surface or external matters. But students don't realize this and immediately form their understanding on the basis of such surface and external words and phrases. All this is just depending on something. And whoever does that falls into the realm of cause and effect and hasn't yet escaped the threefold world of birth and death. If you want to be free to be born or die, to go or stay, as one would put on or take off a garment, then you must understand right now that the person here listening to the Dharma has no form, no characteristics, no root, no beginning, no place to abide. Yet they are vibrantly alive. All the 10,000 kinds of contrived happenings operate in a place that is, in fact, no place. Therefore, the more you search, the farther away you get. The harder you hunt, the wider astray you go. This is what I call the secret of the matter. So what does that have to do with resolve? If you are people of the way who depend on nothing, then you are the mother of the Buddhas. The Buddhas are born from the realm that leans on nothing. So you can resolve to just be with it, not to move an inch from who and what you are right now. Forget about self-improvement. It's nonsense. You already have everything that you need. All you need to do is to open your eyes. Resolve to open your eyes, to open your heart, to open your mind. Find out what's going on, what's really going on. When you're tired, what's going on? What is this tiredness? When your mind is wandering, what's going on? Don't go chasing the thoughts, but see them for what they are. Absolutely empty. Just like drifting clouds. Just one event after another. Has nothing to do with you. Resolve to open your eyes and open your heart and not to run away and not to think that, oh, there's so much pain. Yeah, there is. So use it. It's just another kind of energy. Another kind of energy to connect with. A kind of energy which amplifies whatever love you have in you, amplifies whatever determination there is in you. Use it. As for right speech, Rinzai doesn't talk very much about right speech in terms of what comes out of your mouth. But he has a lot to say about what speech we consume and how we consume it. The trouble with students these days is that they seize on words and form their understanding on that basis. In a big notebook, they copy down the sayings of some worthless old fellow, wrapping it up in 3 layers, 5 layers of carrying cloth, not letting anyone else see it, calling it the dark meaning and guarding it as something precious. What a mistake. Blind fools, what sort of juice do they expect to get out of old, dried bones? There's a bunch of fellows who can't tell good from bad, but poke around in the scriptural teachings, hazard a guess here and there, and come up with an idea in words, as though they took a lump of shit, mushed it around in their mouth, and then spat it out and passed it on to somebody else. They're like those people who play pass the word parlor games, wasting their whole lives like that. I've left household life, they say. But if someone questions them about the Dharma of the Buddhas, they clamp their mouths shut, speak not a syllable, their eyes like 2 blackened chimneys, their mouths drooping like a bent carrying pole. Even when the time comes for Maitreya to make his appearance in the world, they'll still be off in some other world where they've been sent to suffer the torments of hell. That's Rinzai on right speech. As for right action, There's plenty to say on right action. It was hard to narrow it down for you. The master instructed the group saying, "Followers of the way, the Dharma of the Buddhas calls for no special undertakings. Just act ordinary, without trying to do anything particular. Move your bowels, piss, get dressed, eat your rice, and if you get tired, then lie down. Fools may laugh at me, but wise men will know what I mean." A man of old said, "People who try to do something about what is outside themselves are nothing but blockheads. If wherever you are, you take the role of host, then whatever spot you stand in will be a true one. Then whatever circumstances surround you, they can never pull you awry. Even if you're faced with bad karma left over from the past, or the 5 crimes that bring on the hell of incessant suffering, these will of themselves become the great sea of emancipation." Do nothing special. Don't go running around looking for it. It's right here. You have nothing to prove. You have nothing to seek. Of course, there's a lot more that can be said about right action, and all of these parts of the Eightfold Path, there are many, many things that can be said about them, and I will eventually get around to speaking about them in a different Teisho some other time. I just wanted to give you a taste of Rinzai's views on the matter. As for right livelihood, he mostly was speaking to monks, so they had their livelihood pretty well cut out for them. So there wasn't a whole lot that he needed to say on that subject. He did say something about right effort and mindfulness and meditation or concentration. Right effort. The way I see it, one shouldn't be averse to anything. Suppose you yearn to be a sage. Sage is just a word, sage. There are some types of students who go off to Mount Wu Tai looking for Manjushri. They are wrong from the very start. Manjushri isn't on Mount Wu Tai. Would you like to get to know Manjushri? You here, in front of my eyes, carrying out your activities, from first to last, never changing. Wherever you go, never doubting. This is the living Manjushri. Again, going back, as he always does, to this theme of faith. Faith not in something external, but faith in your own experience, your own mind and heart. You don't have to go off to Mount Wu Tai. You don't have to do something exotic. You just have to open your eyes and have faith in what you see. Your mind that each moment shines with the light of non-discrimination. Wherever it may be, this is the true Samantabhadra. Your mind that each moment is capable of freeing itself from its shackles, everywhere emancipated. This is the method of meditating on Kuan Yin. Kanzeon. These three act as host and companion to one another. All three appearing at the same time when they appear one in three, three in one. Only when you have understand all this, you will be ready to read the scriptural teachings. Now, of course, Rinzai did it backwards. He read all the scriptural teachings first. And there's nothing wrong with doing it one way or the other, really. If you've already read the sutras, and you've already studied the Eightfold Path and the Four Noble Truths and all of the other lists that we have in Buddhism, there's nothing wrong with that. But the important thing is to open your eyes, to really explore this moment, right here, right now. This realization right here, right now. What is this? What is this? No matter what it is, good, bad, doesn't matter. There is no good, there is no bad. There's only this. This particular gift that you're given right now. I'll finish up with one more nugget of Rinzai. A true student of the way never concerns themselves with the Buddha, never concerns themselves with bodhisattvas or arhats, never concerns themselves with the blessings of the threefold world. Heaven and earth could turn upside down and he would not be perturbed. All of the Buddhas of the 10 directions could appear before her and her mind would not feel an instant of joy. The 3 realms of hell could suddenly confront her and her mind would not feel an instant of alarm. Why is she like this? Because she knows that all things in the phenomenal world are empty of characteristics. When conditions change, they come into existence. When there is no change, they do not exist. The threefold world is nothing but mind. The 10,000 phenomena are nothing but consciousness. These dreams, phantoms, empty flowers, why trouble yourself trying to grasp them? There's no better description of right meditation or right concentration. whatever is going on. Whatever this flux is, it's just this. Good, bad, just this. Far removed, alone and free, never entangled in things. Heaven and earth could turn upside down, and they would not be perturbed. All the Buddhas of the 10 directions could appear, and their mind would not feel an instant of joy. The 3 realms of hell could suddenly confront them, and their minds would not feel an instant of alarm. Why be alarmed? It's just clouds drifting through. It's just conditions changing. This is practice. Now, it may be hard to take this practice into your daily life, and when you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and having anxiety, or something happens, your child has an accident, an illness. It's hard to take this clarity and concentration, this mind of meditation, this open heart, this open mind, and extend it into our daily lives. But that is the point. To have this breadth of vision, this contact with the inconceivable and the ungraspable, that puts everything into context, so that even in the midst of anxiety and fear, there's something unshakable, something deep and steady. Deeper and more real than the fear, the anxiety. Deeper and more real than the joy or excitement. The realization of this bright awareness. This bright awareness that is unchanging, regardless of conditions. So do your best. Do your best simply to be right here with whatever is going on. No separation. No judgment. No criticism. No wondering, am I doing this right? Just be with it. Open your eyes, open your heart, open your mind. And the world, the universe, will open to you. Absolutely. No doubt. As sure as the earth beneath your feet. Just open. Open. And everything will be revealed. It's already there. It's just opening your eyes, opening your heart, opening your mind. No separation. Do your best.